You knew the risks when you decided to drive drunk. There could be a crash. People could get hurt or killed. But that didn't stop you, did it? You knew you could get arrested. You could incur huge legal expenses, and you could possibly even lose your job. You were well aware of the consequences of driving drunk. But one thing's for sure. You were wrong when you said it was no big deal. Drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Can Jamal Williams still be trusted with the return of Aaron Rodgers? Is there a new bell cow in Detroit? And is it time to sit Mike Evans on the bench? Plus, Chris Jeantet, the man who climbed up more than 1,100 places in the Footballguys Players Championship last weekend, joins us to tell us how he put up a 248.85 and took the lead for the $250,000 grand prize with just 2 weeks to go. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. Nobody.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is indeed the patron saint of fantasy football. His friends call him the Dizzle. We call him Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, have the Dolphins found their short and long-term answer at running back? What underrated quarterback has a track record of crushing the tough defense he opposes in Week 15, and much more? Plus, Chris Jeantet will drop in to share his whirlwind week and if he is going to find a way to get D.D. Westbrook in his Footballguys Championship leading lineup this weekend. Shout out to the chat room right now. If you have any questions, now's the time to post them in there. You can connect with us on Twitter at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak. You can post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour. If you want to chime in and give us a call, definitely do that. You can do so at 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, now is the time to send them. Our audio engineer, Bryce, and our producer, mutual friend, Rob, will get to all the chat room questions, tweets, and emails in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. Want to remind everybody, you can check out the latest episode of the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown with yours truly at rotoviz.com/podcast. Good stuff this week from not only 2016 FFPC main event champ David Hubbard, who gives us kind of a preview of Week 15, who he's pulling for, what he thinks about his start-sit decisions and start-sit decisions that are facing everybody else in the main event and the Footballguys Players Championship. And the main guests that we have, blessed to have at Fantasy QB on Twitter, Dominic LaFerriere, put 2 of his 3 FFPC main event teams in the championship round, put 4 of his 5 Footballguys Players Championship teams into the championship round. That is 6 out of 8. That is a good percentage. He talks about the process that he had in constructing these teams, managing them. So there's a lot of good philosophical stuff in there that we talked about, as well as some zero RB stuff and some start-sit decisions as well, what we're all facing this weekend. So check that out at rotoviz.com/podcast. I want to bring in tonight's guest. Well, first of all, I should welcome in Dave Gerzak to the show. I've been talking, blabbing for 4 minutes straight. How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm good. That's nothing new. You talk a lot.
So I can't tell. Did I annoy you more than normal, or is this just the usual amount of annoyance tonight?
I'm annoyed because I can't log into Blog Talk Radio yet, Paul. Can you get in the chat room?
Try a different browser or open an incognito window. Sometimes it happens.
Thank you.
I'm just
your tech support is excellent.
I didn't know what you were doing. I am just trying to be the helpful Geek Squad guy here tonight, so that's the best I can do.
These guys need a lot of help.
Let's talk to somebody who does not need a lot of help tonight, Dave. I want to bring him in right now. He has been playing fantasy football for 5 years, and in 2015 he was actually diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he went through 6 months of chemotherapy treatment and was cured. While he had his family and a great support system by his side, fantasy football was his only hobby he could actually do, and it got him through a lot of grueling days, kept his mind working, quite possibly saved his life in that regard, despite finishing the Footballguys Players Championship regular season on one of his teams with a 3-8 record, averaged 133 fantasy points per game. He roared from post 1100th place, that is after 1100th place, Dave, all the way into first place this weekend. A 248.85 score in Week 14.
That's not even possible.
Alex Kaganowski, the prognosticator, said, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before. I would tend to agree with them, and I want to talk to the guy who's responsible for it. He's on the airwaves right now. His name is Chris Jeantet, and please, let's welcome in to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Chris, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
Hey, Eric, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Well, we want to have somebody who is going to have his name baked in to high stakes fantasy lore after putting up a nearly 250-point game this past weekend. Fantastic stuff. We're going to delve into that. But before we get to it, Chris, why don't you tell us what you're doing for a living when you're not crushing the Footballguys Players Championship?
Well, whenever I'm not playing fantasy football, I'm running my brother's finance company. It's called Provident Credit. It's in Lawton, Oklahoma, and I've been doing that for about 10 years. And when I'm not at work, I'm spending as much time as I can with my family. I've got 2 boys and a wife, so I make sure they get plenty of time together too. So
you have a full life, my friend, for sure. There is no
yes,
no doubting that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really fantastic. You got that right.
So let's talk a little bit about your team. You had an amazing week. Not even in the top 1,100 teams coming into the championship round. I think there's just over 1,500, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And you put up a 248.85 in Week 14. Take us through what your Sunday was like watching these points pile up.
Oh, man. It really didn't hit me until after about Sunday night after the games. I saw where I was ranked at the top, and I just couldn't believe it. I figured, as I was doing so good during the week or during the day, I just assumed, man, if I'm doing this good, I couldn't imagine how good some of the top players in FFPC was doing, so it was just so surreal. But hey, being king for a week, man, it feels amazing.
So let me ask you this, Chris. When you were watching, did you have the live scoring up, while you were watching games, or did you just were you making mental notes like, oh, I actually, you see a touchdown happen, like, oh, I had that guy going, oh, I had this guy going, oh, I have this guy going. You're like, oh my goodness, I could actually be putting up a pretty good score this week. Were you following it very closely as far as your team goes, or just kind of casually watching the games and guessing that you were having a pretty big week?
Usually I watch it very closely, and this week I played DFS as well, so I usually watch it very closely with that. And, I'll be in the front room, and I'll have my laptop going and my tablet and just, kind of checking my phone every now and then. Well, I wasn't playing DFS this weekend, so I kind of slipped up a little bit, wasn't watching too much, just kind of watching the games on the Red Zone channel. And I've seen people, scoring like, oh, like you just said, that's my guy. So then I started checking my score, and it just started going up and up and up, I just kept track of it more and more. So, trying not to jinx myself up like that.
I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, and I don't even, my head would have exploded, Dave. There would have been skull and brains all over the wall. I wouldn't have been able to
honey, I'm in 700th place. Honey, I'm in 400th.
Yeah.
I'm in 50th place.
Like, yeah. Honey, I'm higher than first place right now. I don't know how it's possible, but it's happened. Chris, let's talk about your team.
I say that right now.
Yeah. Well, listen. If I were you, I would not have slept all week. You've been reaping the rewards of a Brett Hundley-led Green Bay offense by getting a lot of points from Jamal Williams over the past few weeks. Now you look at how this might change with Aaron Rodgers coming back. How do you think? I mean, I'm assuming you have some pretty good options on this team and some decent ones on the bench. You have a lot of good running backs on this team: Kareem Hunt, Jordan Howard, Kenyon Drake. So it's not like Jamal Williams has to be played for you this week. I'm assuming you're going to play him, but how does his fantasy expectations change with Aaron Rodgers now back under center?
Well, I'm hoping that will increase Jamal Williams' chances at, short yardage touchdowns. And, I was hoping that – I'm thinking my thought process on this is, with this week's Carolina defense, maybe they'll soften up a little bit, play on their heels a little more with Aaron Rodgers back. But, it's tough. I really don't know. Jamal Williams is somebody that's red hot right now, and I find it hard to, put him on my bench. But I do have some players, one in particular that I'm itching to put out there. So, it's tough. It's a tough decision. And if anything, I'm hoping Aaron Rodgers' return would increase offensive firepower. So, and maybe this is just a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, Dave, do you agree with that? Do you think that Jamal Williams' value might actually be enhanced by having a Hall of Fame quarterback in front of him now rather than Brett Hundley, who was maybe more reliant on the run game, taking pressure off them? How do you view, or is it just a net zero?
Well, Williams scored like 30 points last week.
Right.
It's a 480-point per season pace, better than David Johnson's 430 the prior year. So it's hard to say.
But not just last week, just the last few weeks.
No, I'm just saying though, he's not going to be the centerpiece of the offense
as
much, most likely. But you make some good points, Chris. That the offense might score a lot more points. So I think there's definitely some opportunity there.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris, let me ask you this: Kenyon Drake is on your team. He's one of the newer stud running backs on your team. He's crushed it the past few weeks. I'm fortunate to own him in a couple spots as well.
Humble brag.
It's not a humble brag. I'm just happy that I actually have him. I have him on one dynasty team. So unlike most of the stupid questions I ask, this one I actually care about.
Well, there you go. Good.
What are your chances? What do you think the chances are that he keeps doing it the rest of the season, and as well as in 2018? He really is starting to look like he might be the feature back, and they don't even have a need for running back anymore.
Well, first, I just want to say, I picked up Kenyon Drake in almost all my FFPC leagues for pennies on the dollar. I think I got him like in week 6 or 7, and it was actually thanks to a bet that I had with my buddy. And the man that actually got me started in fantasy football, his name's Will McMiller, so shout out, Will. We had a bet that by week 8, Jeantet would go down for the year, with knee issues and stuff. We were talking about it, and I said, he's going to go down. And so I thought I better go ahead and, just something kept telling me that. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and pick up Drake. And, I did. And then I just kept him there. I had no really any reason to drop him when I kept, switching off the waiver wire. Wound up keeping him. And then this happened. So, it worked out great for my team. Lost the bet with him. But, hey, I feel good about it. And with him, I feel really comfortable, going against the soft Buffalo run defense. I feel like they've given up, over 140, 150 yards in the last 5 games. And with Damian Williams out, I think what they say, has he practiced yet this week? I know as of Wednesday they were saying he hadn't practiced yet, so I'm hoping that he's out. And
I don't think
with him out.
I don't think he's.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I don't think he's practiced, but he is. He's listed as doubtful, Dave, for this week. So I can't believe that he's going to be in line. It's going to be the Kenyon Drake show again.
So, Chris, I know you had actually acquired Drake, but it was interesting in heading into that part of that, when Ajayi got traded, a lot of people were picking up Damian Williams as well as Drake. It was kind of like almost 50-50 between them. But you were definitely leaning Drake the entire time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Well, I subscribe to Footballguys, and I read a lot of David Dodd's articles. And he had put an article out about Kenyon Drake. And also, I read all these articles and I listen to the radio and stuff, and I just kept hearing, if Ajayi would go down, because people kept talking about his knee, whatever the knee issue was, and they were talking about, I just kept hearing Kenyon Drake, he's the raw talent. So I went with him, and I just stuck with him, one of those things where, I had to make a stand, had to pick a side, and luckily, hey, I picked the right side, right?
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, and once again, David Dodd's leading people down the path of fantasy righteousness, pointing people towards Kenyon Drake. He's the man. Footballguys is a fantastic site, and they win again.
One of the things Balky and I are most proud of
right.
as being industry people, is we're actually get to be friends with David Dodds. He's
You know
such a nice fella.
You know what's funny is we are not industry people at all, and we're still friends.
Industry flunkies. Is
Yeah,
what we
yeah, yes.
Actually, to be honest with you, Dodds doesn't go to the trade shows he kind of almost he just kind of, I don't want to say he boycotts them, but he just never goes. So he's an anti-industry guy himself. Actually.
Yeah.
We're all on the outs.
We're all industry outsiders.
Now, Chris, I'm glad you
like
came
the
on
rest
so
of
we
us.
could just talk about
Sorry,
ourselves
yes,
as a whole.
yeah, I'm
It
sorry.
was me that brought it up.
No,
Chris, it's my fault.
No, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Chris Jeantet is our guest tonight. He is leading the Footballguys Players Championship. Only 2 weeks of action left. Put up a 248.85 this past week. Now,
why do you keep mentioning the decimal? Who cares?
Okay, 248, 249.
No, let's round it up.
Let's round it
250?
up. Let's round it up.
250.
Round it up to 250.
Print near 250.
Chris Jeantet puts up a 250 print near last week, and we have him on the show tonight. Chris, if you are going to get this $250,000, it's going to have to be with Jimmy Garoppolo because Carson Wentz tore his ACL last week. Thankfully, you had another quarterback on your team, and I don't even think Garoppolo was that bad of a start this week, to be honest with you.
Agree, actually.
He's looked very good. He should be good again this week, getting the Tennessee hapless Titan secondary at home. I worry about Week 16 because then he's going up against the Saxonville Jaguars, Jalen Ramsey, that A.J. Boye, that secondary. Do you think he's going to be able to get anything done for them? Because I would hate to have, my hopes and dreams riding for $250,000 riding on Garoppolo against that Jacksonville defense in Week 16.
Man, I went over this already too, so of course I went through every scenario, all my players. But I just pray he gets, half the third and the fourth quarter garbage time, maybe against the prevent defense, and he hadn't thrown 3 interceptions by then or not hurt. But I think Garoppolo is more than capable of getting me enough points. The rest of my team can make up for, if I can get a couple players in there that can just hit it hard and not take me out of the running for the grand prize. But Eric, this has me want to ask you a question. Also, that's a good question that you've asked, and I wanted to know something I've always asked myself the last 2 years. How come the waivers they get turned off? And not turned back on for the championship rounds. I was curious to know why that is.
That, my friend, is an excellent question. It's one that has been asked multiple times, and I'll answer this the best way I can that has been described to me. It's actually put into place to screw over the fantasy owner because we don't want people enjoying the last 3 weeks of the season. No, I'm
serious answer.
No, in all seriousness, there's a competitive balance to it that we don't want. Any drastic changes based upon what happens, these last few weeks with, somebody coming off the waiver wire and making a big difference. People are going to have different fab budgets. The way that this is structured, if the waivers are closed off, it's literally a lineup decision that you need to be making amongst 1,100 other people or, however many people are in the FFPC main event championship round, a couple hundred people. That's what it comes down to. So you're focusing on the team that you built and cultivated all season long without, having somebody muck it up at the end. Is there anything I'm missing, Dave?
Well, you're exiting your league format and you're entering the championship round. So now you would be making waivers within your league itself, and perhaps you're the only team. Well, perhaps just you and one other owner may be making the championship round,
right?
While in another league, 3 owners might be making it. And so then, it does, like you said, the competitive balance is a little bit having to do with it. But I think once you leave the league setting and go to the championship round, and there is actually an extra element of strategy as well. It's like, do you carry 2 kickers? Do you carry two defenses, 3 defenses?
Yeah.
3 tight ends, or a couple, 3 quarterbacks. So, and with 20-man rosters, it gets really interesting as you get right to the end there as to what you're going to do with your roster.
And I'll say this, too. I mean, I've seen it work out, too, where people don't want, we talked about David Hubbard on this on the High Stakes Lowdown last week about how he does make sure his quarterback is backed up, kickers backed up, tight ends backed up. Some people like to carry multiple defenses in to play matchups like that. Well, then you're going to leave yourself short other places. Some people are willing to roll the dice and only have that one quarterback, only have that one tight end or kicker, and injuries be damned. So I think that there is an element of I don't want to say skill. I think strategy. I think Dave, you said, and that probably puts it best. But that's the rationale behind it. Now, listen, Chris, I'll tell you this. I was not consulted on the writing of these rules at all. Now, had I been, I would have obviously.
And you won't be in the future.
I would have obviously catered it to whatever Chris wanted. Clearly, I think that's what we ultimately wanted.
Well, I like
Good.
it. I'm glad.
Hopefully, you still like it 2 weeks. We'll see what happens then.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dave, let's talk about one of the reserves on Chris's team right now.
Yes, you have D.D. Westbrook has been putting up really good numbers for the Jags the last few weeks. He's almost to the point of being their number one receiver. In fact, he kind of seems that way to me. And in fact, he predicted he was going to have 200 yards the 1 week. He didn't really play much.
Right, yeah.
But can you even find a spot for him in your starting lineup? I mean, is it a little bit too risky for you just that he has such a limited amount of time that he's been playing?
Man, this has been my biggest dilemma this week. I know he's trending up every week. He's doing awesome. I know he's going to have that big breakout week, and I just 100% feel it's this week. And I've been going back and forth on him all week between him and if I had to choose, man, I got two people in mind right now. You might be able to help me out a little bit with this. But
we'll do our
Jamal
best.
Williams or Kareem Hunt. One of those I feel like has to go.
So the decision between Jamal Williams at Carolina, Kareem Hunt at home against the Chargers, and then D.D. Westbrook against the I forget it. D.D. Westbrook is playing at home against the Texans, and you have to sit one of those guys. If it's me, Dave, I'm leaning towards volume, and I'm probably going to play Williams and Hunt over D.D. Westbrook. I mean that's the guy I'm going to sit. I might change again. The advice I give on this show, I might change my mind on these razor thin decisions on Sunday morning. But as it stands right now, I think I would rather play Hunt and Jamal Williams over D.D. Westbrook. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I mean personally, I think there's just too much risk and variance with Westbrook. You're winning right now.
Right.
But you can use stable 20-point, 15-point performances, and you could do well with that. I mean, there's a chance someone could leapfrog you. There's a slim chance Westbrook could go off for 30 points. I just don't. There's also a chance that he goes off 1 for 5. I mean, receivers have bad games all the time. At least you're guaranteed touches with those other two players. Yeah. And really every third play they're probably going to be involved with the offense, no matter what's going on.
Vet the volume. That's what I'm doing.
And involved.
Yep. Yeah, that's listen.
It looks like he got past the rookie wall. He's past the rookie wall.
Yeah.
I think he came out and I think he's doing better now. I think he had those few games where he was sucky.
What we need to do is have Travis Kelce screw up more like end zone touchdowns and goal line touchdowns, so then Kareem Hunt gets the layup after that, because that seemed to work well for the Chiefs last week.
Yeah, like interference calls in the end zone.
Right.
Like you need a Tyreek Hill in the end zone interference call.
Well, okay, so that's our advice on it. I think the chat room, from what I can tell, is agreeing with us too. It seems like and Aunt Jemima saying bench D.D. Westbrook, and then Wasp guy saying go Hunt for the ceiling. Yes, go ahead.
Can I ask you guys a question? I went through the top 10, top 15 teams, and I noticed one difference in our teams was D.D. Westbrook. I had him. A lot of people didn't, or they didn't have him in their lineups. But say I play him over Hunt, and he does go off. I mean, how much of an advantage does that give me? And that's where my mindset is right now. It's kind of, do I want to play it safe or do I want to go for the kill? And when you have this much money involved,
it's tough because when you're talking about a field this big, well, clearly you want the variance. But I think in this case, when you're ahead of everybody, I don't want to say you don't want to take any chances, but you don't want to take any chances. So I would play Williams and Hunt. You know what I mean? Even though you're right. I mean, if you do play Westbrook and Hunt gets a 15 carry for like 30-yard game, no touchdowns, 2 catches, something like that, and Westbrook has like this breakout 6 for 100 in a couple of scores, yeah, then you're talking about this massive advantage. However, the likelihood of that, I think, is not as good than sticking with the status quo and trying to build on this lead a little bit more. That's how I personally feel. Chris, I want to take it back a couple of years Now, when we talk about what you were going through in 2015 with your chemotherapy for your cancer treatment, what can you share about the role that fantasy football played for you during that period of time when, every day was kind of a struggle?
Well, cancer, I'm sure everybody knows, this is something that will consume you. It'll consume your life, your family's lives, whether you want it to or not. And it did in the beginning, but because my family support and my competitive nature, without even thinking about it, I was blocking out the treatment, what was going on around me, by letting fantasy football consume me. I would be at my treatments, and I would see people around me. They had their families there. They were sleeping, just staring at the wall, watching TV, whatever it was. And I was on my laptop, and I was reading every article I could get my hands on. And for 8 hours, I wasn't even thinking about the poison going into my body. That was saving my life. I was worried about, why and who to start this week. And, that I feel that single-handedly, kept my mind going, kept me from depression. And, that's one of the number one things they tell you when you're going through that is don't let yourself get into depression and don't stop fighting. Don't give up. And I truly believe, my family, my wife, Hannah, my two sons, Cameron and Christian, and my quest for a fantasy football championship, may have saved my life. So, that's point blank.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's listen, not to compare the two, but there are some similarities between what you went through and not giving up and fighting for taking it one day at a time, and then you have a 3-8 team that many people would have given up on, that just would have said, you know what, I can't do it, it's not going to happen. You take it, you grind it out, get to the championship round, and now you're leading the whole thing after a 250.
They're almost identical.
I said I don't want to make them. There's certain there's an analogy. There's similarities there. Okay, I'm just making an analogy.
No, you're right.
All right. Anyway, Dave.
Sorry, the joke was there, so I had.
So let's talk about fantasy defenses.
Mark Moyer should be asking this question. Famous draft experts player who always keeps 3 kickers and 3 defenses.
Right.
But you kept 3 in a redraft here in the championship round. Chicago, Denver, and Tennessee. I started Denver last night in one of my leagues, and they promptly rewarded me with 1 sack and 1 point.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to even ask if you started Denver, but did you start Denver?
Yeah, unfortunately, I felt like they had the best matchup.
Yeah.
When I was hoping for a Thursday night, crap game, but
me too.
I didn't get much sleep last night, and it makes me sick thinking about it, but. I'm hoping that, I had got an 8-point lead over everybody. I'm hoping that the 8-point lead, I can factor that into my defense, I guess, this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, were you literally, when you talk about Chicago, Denver, Tennessee, did you have 1 week each earmarked for them? Like Denver week 14, and then, this week Tennessee gets Garoppolo and the Niners, and then or Chicago playing Detroit. I don't know what it was, but was that the rationale that you're going to play one of those defenses each week?
Actually, no, it wasn't. I really didn't intend on keeping the defenses. I had them in by week 10. I started to see on the waiver wire the defenses were getting scarce, and my starters pretty much were set. So I decided to keep. I think I was streaming Tennessee and Chicago at the time. And I saw someone drop Denver, so I was thinking I might as well go ahead and get them because the next best defenses was the Raiders, the Dallases, those kind of teams. And so I do know one thing, next year I know week 9 or 10, it's time to, probably week 9, it's time to start looking at those weeks and stashing some defenses. I think that's a good idea to do, that and 2 kickers for sure, because I have another team in the championship rounds, and I think they're ranked 179 or 200, something like that. And I don't have a kicker. I picked up the last week before the waivers went out. I picked up Lambeau right before we went on the IR on Friday, and didn't see it. And so I'm ranked like in the top 200 with no kicker. So that makes me sick. So I'll make sure that don't happen again.
If it's any if it's any consolation, I would.
Yeah.
Not Lambeau, yeah.
Oh, thank God! I was Googling Lambeau right now. I think I have that piece of crap on one of my teams.
If it makes you feel any better, Chris, I'll tell you this: I'm sure you are not the only one in the top 200 that has no healthy kicker. I'm sure, if history is any guide, I'm sure that there's others like it. As history is a guide on this show, we normally get some emails in for the guests this week. This is no different, as we got a few. And I think we have time for 2 of them. I'm going to read the first one to you, Chris. This is from Don in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He writes, would you play Robert Woods in his first week back? My other options at flex are McKinnon or Chris Hogan, since it looks like Rudolph is going to miss. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the email, Don in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So his choice is here to replace Rudolph as his flex. He's got one option is Robert Woods after the long layoff. He comes back this week to take on Seattle in Seattle. Otherwise, he has Jerick McKinnon at home against the Bengals, and he's also got Chris Hogan at Pittsburgh on Sunday afternoon. So if it was you, which one would you be playing there, Chris, between Woods, McKinnon, or Hogan?
Well, before Woods got hurt, he was red hot, so I'd have to say Woods against the Seattle secondary, the shell of themselves. Definitely Woods. I mean, I imagine you're in the playoffs right now, semifinals, championship, and you got to go with it. You got to go with Woods. Definitely Woods.
Dave, you like Woods over Hogan and McKinnon this week? If you were in the FPC championship round or the FFPC main event? Woods at Seattle, McKinnon at home against the Bengals, and Chris Hogan at Pittsburgh.
I might look at McKinnon myself.
Even though Latavius Murray's been, really the man there?
Well, Woods he's healthy now. Is that
healthy enough?
So what about Hogan? He's like the new Amendola. He's always hurt too.
Yeah, that's his nickname in New England. No, I'm actually kind of with you on this one. I would consider McKinnon. I think I would lean towards Woods at this point, but it's so that rapport that he has with Goff and going up against the battered Seattle secondary. I don't know, man. I think battered. Isn't that what it is? Battered?
I don't know.
Battered Seattle secondary? It's battered.
People talk about that like that?
Yeah, it's a battered secondary.
I just feel like it's more of a domestic violence.
It's a dinged up secondary?
I feel like we're just only using domestic violence or on cops or something.
All right, well, it is neither, so I retract that statement. But I will replace it with this email from Wes in Malden, Massachusetts. Chris, he writes, got caught short-handed this week, and now I don't know what to do. I have to play either Tariq Cohen or Leonard Fournette, but Cohen plays Saturday, and Fournette hasn't practiced all week.
And Fournette won't play at all.
It's basically a coin flip between us for this week, so I am not a huge fave or underdog. What would you do, Chris? That is Wes in Malden, Massachusetts. So Fournette did not practice at all this week. Doug Marrone said that Fournette could play without practicing. The last time this happened, Fournette didn't play. And his only other option apparently is Tariq Cohen, who plays Saturday afternoon. So if you were in this situation, would you take the guaranteed points with Tariq Cohen or roll the dice and hope Fournette plays?
I would call in work, and I would stay on Twitter. I would do all research I could. I read on Twitter earlier today that they were saying that anytime they had an injured player that didn't practice all week, all year long, they've never played the game. So that there could be something to that with the coaching staff. I don't think he plays. I'd go Cohen, and of course, them playing in a dome against Detroit, the game flow, it's going to help big time. So you got to go Cohen.
Yeah, and Cohen, honestly, at least it's not like James Conner or somebody like that. It's at least you have a chance with some points this week. I read some stuff this week. There's Fantasy Pros had some good stuff on Tariq Cohen about how this actually is not the worst matchup for him. He might end up performing. But, Dave, you got to take the guaranteed – well, not guaranteed, but we know that Cohen is going to play. We don't know if Fournette's going to play. You got to take – you can't take that risk.
Yeah, Fournette had practice today. I would lean his direction, but I cannot start Fournette. I don't think he's playing. I think it's maybe a 25% chance he's going to play.
Dave, Chris Jeantet has been so gracious this time. I want to ask him one last question, and I'm going to let you do it.
Great, Chris. Thanks a lot for coming on. So we want you to finish this up with giving us a stud player this week. You're going to help out all your opponents that you would actually consider benching, and a sleeper that just might find his way into your fantasy lineups.
I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, and of course it's going to be I'm seriously thinking I'm going to either bench Jamal Williams or Kareem Hunt and put this guy in that I stashed since the first of the year. Hope the fantasy gods reward me. And my Oklahoma Sooners, D.D. Westbrook.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You know,
I've had him all year long, all year. Tip him.
You know what's funny is I actually in one of the dynasty leagues that Dave and I are in together, I didn't draft D.D. Westbrook in the rookie draft this year. Somebody else did, and he had a ton of picks, so he ended up cutting him. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on this Westbrook guy, and I feel pretty good. Dave, we didn't bring this up when we were talking about Westbrook before. Jacksonville receivers, Allen Robinson, free agent. Marquise Lee, free agent.
Yep.
Who knows what happens with D.D. Westbrook? Yes, they will both get paid this offseason. Maybe not by Jacksonville.
So one of them could get franchised. Neither one's probably very franchisable.
Well, I mean, Robinson, I think, is more franchisable than Lee. But, yeah, you're right. I don't think either one is worth it. Westbrook could be –
interesting.
2018, the year of D.D. Westbrook. And I'll say this, 2017, maybe the year of Chris Jeantet. A 250, we're going to say it right now, a 250 in Week 14, move up 1,100-plus places into first place overall. What an incredible story for you, Chris, not only for this year, but what happened to you 2 years ago. You continue to beat the odds. This is a fantastic story. We are all pulling for you. I hope the balls bounce your way this weekend, and good luck over these next 2 weeks, man. I know
the chat room is rooting for you,
yes,
by the way.
Yes, the chat room is rooting for you, and I'll tell you this, my advice from people who have been in this position before, obviously I never have been, to not get stressed out and really enjoy the moment, enjoy these next couple of weeks, man, and it'll be a tale to tell.
Yeah, man, and you guys, I really appreciate it. You know, you guys putting all this FFPC fantasy football stuff together. You know, and it's been awesome. You know, I guess like you said, live in the moment, and I am. It's been amazing. So this has been a great honor, and I do appreciate you guys having me on here, and I appreciate everybody rooting for me. That's awesome. So if you don't mind, I'm going to give a shout-out, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Please do.
Okay. I got to shout out, of course, my wife, Anna, my two sons, Christian and Cameron. They've been putting up with fantasy football for the last 5 years, and all the Sundays I just sit there on the couch from noon to 6 or so, and don't really move. Just watch the games, happy, mad, sad. And, of course, my boy, Will McMiller, he plays on FFPC too, and he's the one that got me started in all this. My family hates him, of course. They created this fantasy football monster, they say. But if we can win this $250,000, they said all will be forgiven.
Yes. Pay off the mortgage.
That's exactly
go on
right.
vacation, whatever the hell you want to do with it.
Yep. And then do it all over again next year. Chris, thanks so much for joining the show, man. It's been a treat. It's been a pleasure. And we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Yes. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Chris Jeantet, the Footballguys Players Championship leader after Week 14. What a story. What a guy. What an interview. Hey, I got a question for you. Would you call him the Week 14 leader or the Week 15 leader? This is something I've wrestled with over the past few years when I'm writing the shows up, and I never know how to bill them.
I guess I would call him the Week 15 leader heading into Week 15.
Because
I probably would qualify. I would say heading into Week 15, this is our leader type of thing.
Right, but when I have to name the show, because what happens after Week 1?
Yeah,
Bo Berman's leading Week 1. Okay, he's the Week 1 leader.
Right.
Heading into Week 2.
You're right, so it's tough. It really, you could argue it the other way. It's the Week 14 leader. He's leading after Week 14.
Right.
Obviously, dummy.
Yes.
But he's the Week 15 leader as we head into Week 15.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a conundrum. Maybe some of our, professor-like people that listen to the show could.
If only there was an Ivy League professor who's
or someone
mossy brain we could have access to.
That would actually help too.
That the two guys I'm looking at right now, maybe Aunt Jemima, maybe Wasp guy, and I will speak to those guys as well. The rest of the listening audience. Tell everybody that it is back. The world famous FFPC Playoff Challenge is live, and you can register your teams today at myffpc.com.
Hey, Balky, it's already 10% sold out. People are going to get shut out again, Balky.
Already 10% sold out. People who want to compete for a $100,000 grand prize and a $600,000 prize pool, paying all the way down to 550th place.
525 more spots in the contest.
Yes. At a cost of only $200 per team, all you need to do is pick an FFPC roster of 10 players, choosing only one player per team in the playoffs. There is no roster management required. You just set it and forget it. Enjoy. Okay?
That's nice.
You don't have to worry, wake up in a cold sweat at 2 in the morning. Oh, my gosh, did I switch this guy around? Did I do this?
Right.
You don't have to worry about that.
You can move them around in your lineup, but it's still the same people.
Yeah. If you want to switch Rob Gronkowski and Jesse James from tight end to flex, go ahead.
It's fun.
But we have no problem with
do it
that.
every week.
Or if you don't want to do it, don't do it. No roster management required. We've added more than $120,000 to the prize pool this year, as well as 150 more teams being paid out. Don't delay. Sign up today for the world-famous FFPC Playoff Challenge at myffpc.com. That's myffpc.com. Let's get into the Fantasy Flash. Football Guys, RotoPass, RotoWorld. Rob, for tonight's rundown, I want to thank those guys. Carson Wentz, as we
a lot of alliteration.
Alluded to it before. Yeah, well, listen, there's a lot of R's that work hard on this show. You know, the one thing I've noticed with people in the industry, Dave, if you have a podcast or a show or a website, the two most popular words or phrases, fantasy and roto. People love it. Well, I'll tell you this off air. It's literally something that only you and I would care about, so I'm not going to bring it up now. But let's get into this Carson Wentz thing.
Okay, I'm going to type right down off-air comment.
He suffered a torn ACL. This was confirmed by Adam Schefter with an MRI that was done on Monday. He's already had surgery. So he's going to be out 9 to 12 months. Good thing or bad thing for Carson Wentz that he tears his ACL for his fantasy value for next year?
Bad thing.
Is it a bad thing? Because I feel like this is going to push him down in drafts a little bit more.
So,
like you could actually get him at a value if you can stomach that he might not be full go at the start of the year. Or is this Robert Griffin all over again?
I'm not at the point of. I don't even own Wentz anywhere that really mattered. I mean, I'm in the fishbowl or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of. I haven't gotten to the point of like allowing it to be. Not that I'm mourning him or anything like that, but I'm not already opportunistically gaming the outcomes and the ADPs for Wentz next year yet. Sorry.
That's okay.
I know Luck's over in Europe, actually.
Right.
By the way, let me interrupt myself here.
Yeah.
There was an Andrew Luck tweet that someone posted. They said, it's so sad that Andrew Luck missed a season because of how average the Colts could have been with him.
That's
just
funny.
A really funny tweet.
Okay, so you mentioned the Scott Fishbowl. I actually got called out by a guy in my division.
Now?
Yes, because maybe I'm an idiot, but the Scott Fishbowl, I don't know, what exactly is going on. I'm just setting my lineup every week. I'm putting waivers in every week.
It's over.
But no, it's still going on.
I mean, for you.
Well, I found out it was because
and for me also.
You're playing for your division, your conference, and then there's the overall, and then there's a tier 2 contest, and I didn't know what I was eligible for, so I kept submitting waivers.
Sure, fine, whatever.
So I ended up picking up a few quarterbacks this past week, and this guy's calling me out on Twitter, thanks for the screw over bids at Eric Balkman, blah blah blah.
That's actually kind of true.
And oh man, I feel kind of bad. So I DM'd the guy and I said, hey,
why don't you drop the quarterback?
Well, hold on. Let me tell the story.
Sorry about that.
So I DM'd the guy and I said, hey man, I am really sorry. I didn't realize I was out of it. I'm confused by this. I play everything out to the end always. I don't give up on teams at all. And he's like, I appreciate it. I get it. It's totally cool. And Scott Fish actually went back and undid my
nice.
waivers. So this guy ended up getting well, the thing is he had Carson Wentz and Tom Savage as his two quarterbacks. So he got Foles and I think was it Yates, I want to say. It was Yates or there's another quarterback. I picked up 3 quarterbacks.
Just to make it perfectly clear,
yeah.
If that happened in the FFPC, there's no way in hell we would reverse the waivers.
Okay.
Tough crap.
Okay.
No offense, Scott Fish, but that was not appropriate.
And there's nothing. There's no massive 6-figure prizes at stake in the Scott Fish
Football
Bowl.
Guys lifetime subscription.
It's a big deal. That I will not
prescription.
That I found out I will not be getting. So
3 years
it is what it is.
Prescription.
Okay, so that's Carson Wentz. You're not sitting any Eagles based on this, right? That you were starting before. If you were starting.
Who would I be starting?
Well, you're starting Jeffrey no matter what. You're starting Ertz no matter what.
I wouldn't say Jeffrey no matter what.
Okay, so that's interesting. So
for example, in Carrington, I could start Cooper Kupp over Jeffrey.
Would you?
I'm considering it.
Really?
Sure.
Okay.
I could start Juju over Jeffrey, although he may not play.
Right. If Wentz wasn't hurt, would you be considering Kupp over Jeffrey? Or is this purely because Foles is going to be at the quarterback that you're actually considering this?
It's because of, I mean, not that Foles is terrible or anything.
Right.
In fact, his numbers.
They're going to coach him up, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, Foles is a decent quarterback. But yeah, it's because Wentz has been proven that he's better. I mean, Jeffrey's not like he's destroying it or anything like
Right.
that.
We'll move on here. Kyle Meinke of MLive.com reports that it's possible, Dave, that Theo Riddick has actually passed Amir Abdullah on the Lions depth chart. Riddick, obviously, we knew his PPR acumen. And when you add in the fact that he might be the Lions' lead running back right now, that is very juicy for fantasy purposes over these next couple weeks. Certainly has the door shut for fantasy value going forward for Amir Abdullah in Detroit. It certainly seems like he just cannot take advantage of the opportunities presented to him.
I mean, maybe he gets another opportunity somewhere else, but he just, you know, in spite of his great metrics and so forth, he sucks. He's just not really doing anything when he comes to actually playing.
Yeah.
He's not a goal line back.
No.
He can catch passes okay, but he's not super fast or anything like that. So
Right.
he does not look like a dynamic player. He did look like that in college, actually. He just doesn't look like that in the pros.
Does not look like it in the pros.
I mean, versus comparing him to like a Kenyon Drake, Drake looks amazing. I mean, he looks like really good. And we talked to actually go back to Drake. I know this is about Abdullah, but we talked about Drake as a possible person that was underutilized when he was in college.
Right.
And he was fast.
Well, that's because Alabama has 6 5-star running
Yeah,
backs.
it's cool. Every year. Everybody's like, oh, sure, I'll play there.
Right.
But yes, I mean, you know, I like the Drake, but I don't like the Abdullah.
Question from the chat room from Wasp Guy. Are all key players in the Steelers-Patriots fantasy gold this week? So for me, Brady and Roethlisberger obviously are. Bell and Brown obviously are. You look at Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm playing him if he's active, but he's a late game, so I may not have that luxury.
Yeah, I would start as many players as I could.
I'm pretty sure he's going to go. I don't know how I feel about like Hogan and Amendola. I'm playing Cooks.
I wouldn't play. Yeah, Cooks I would play.
Play Lewis and Burkhead. I would.
Yeah.
Not who's the other guy there? Not James White. I'm not playing him. And Jesse James in an FFPC format.
If you're desperate, he's okay.
Yeah, given the target volume that he's gotten. Aunt Jemima wants to know Big Ben or Matthew Stafford this week. Ben Roethlisberger hosting the Patriots, and Matthew Stafford, I believe, is hosting the Chicago Football Bears. Yes, he is tomorrow. I'm playing Big Ben.
I'd probably play Big Ben.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, off of a 500-yard week, and he's at home.
Let me ask you this, Dave. Quarterback question for me personally: Phillip Rivers or Aaron Rodgers?
Let's see.
Rivers is at Kansas City tomorrow. Rodgers is at Carolina on Sunday.
I'd play Rivers probably.
I am. That's what I have in right now.
Yeah.
So
I'm half thinking of benching Tyreek Hill to just go off on another little tangent.
Oh, we got a question about that coming up.
Good, let's talk about that coming up.
All right. So let's motor through the rest of this. Jordan Reed.
Aunt Jemima will take Rodgers in that.
Oh, he would take Rodgers. Okay. Jordan Reed placed on IR this week. Dave, I don't think there's anything else we need to say about Jordan Reed other than I know.
Other than if you listen to this show ever,
right.
You should own 0 shares in Jordan Reed.
Right.
That news should not impact you whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. You know what's funny is I own him in a dynasty league, and he is my number 3 tight end in that league. And I think I draft him as my number 1. I have Greg Olsen and is that the league I have Olsen and Gronk? It's either Olsen and Gronk or Olsen and ASJ. But no, I'm going to try to get like a second-round pick for Jordan Reed next year and see what happens.
Yeah, he's so.
I'm not cutting him.
So whatever.
Dave, a lot of people are worried about this Chargers secondary when they're facing them. Okay.
What they're worried about going against
them, right? Alex Smith looked like a world beater the front part of the year. Not last few weeks, not so much. He had that one big week, obviously.
He's doing better.
He's doing better. But let me tell you this: Alex Smith, averaging over 260 passing yards in his last 3 games against the Chargers, with multiple touchdown passes in each of those contests. Start Kelsey, start Hill. Hell, start Alex Smith. I don't think that people need to be necessarily all that worried about this matchup.
Okay, that's interesting. It's an interesting point. I'll take.
Do you think that's too small of a sample size to hang your hat on, though?
No, I don't think so. And actually, okay, so let's take a look at Tyreek Hill and how he did.
Right.
He actually, against the Chargers, he scored 20 points in Week 3. He was 5 for 77 and a touchdown. My concern is against the top pass defenses. He had an 8-point week against the Steelers, a 4.8-point week against the Broncos, and then he hasn't faced any other top pass defenses. So I mean, he's had sub 10-point performances against the 2 other elite pass defenses he's faced.
Right.
But he did have a good week 3.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's tough. I mean, if he doesn't have a big play, I mean, he does catch passes over the middle, but if he doesn't have a big play, it's tougher to really put up the numbers.
Yeah, I agree. Here's a guy that Sigmund Bloom said he is actually going to play over Tyreek Hill this week, and that's Marquise Goodwin. He's gotten 783 yards in 13 games this year. His previous high in his career is 431 yards. So you look at the San Francisco 49ers offense, Dave. I'm just curious. This is maybe more of a dynasty question, but next year they're going to have Pierre Garçon back. They're going to have Marquise Goodwin, who's crushing him from a PPR standpoint.
I could not start Goodwin over.
Neither could I. I'm just pointing it out that that's what he said.
He's a real WR1 versus wherever the hell Goodwin is laying around. Keep going.
Averaging. He's gotten 26 targets over his last 3 games, so it's not like he's not getting the ball.
I get it,
yeah. So you have Goodwin there. I mean, can we count on these guys as the number one and number 2 receivers in San Francisco next year? Or do you think that they go after somebody in the draft that they can, mold this offense around and build with Garoppolo?
I would think they'd draft a receiver almost for sure in the top 3 rounds. And that person may not start. In fact, it's probably unlikely that they start right away unless it's a first-round pick.
Right.
I think there's a decent chance that they develop that player, but. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a really huge believer. It's actually I'm impressed that Goodwin's coming. Doing this.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't see this coming.
Semi-breakout, but keep in mind, I mean, he's only ranked. What is he ranked here? He's ranked 37th amongst wide receivers so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that great. He's averaging 9.
Let me tell you this nonsense.
9.8 points a game.
We have to do on the Appleton Trophy Fantasy Football Show on AM 1570 95.3.
You never failed to mention
FM. thescorewi.com, 5 o'clock Central Time every Thursday.
I love that.
We have to pick a sleeper. Schmitty's Ticket Sleeper of the Week. I picked Marquise Goodwin.
That's solid.
Good sleeper. Wide receiver 37, as you just pointed out on the air.
Well, that's a good sleeper.
My host, Leo Kuiper Jr., you know who his sleeper was this week? I'll give you a hint. You still got that list up?
Yeah, hang on.
Look at who's number 6 on that list. That was his sleeper.
Landry?
Jarvis Landry was his sleeper this week.
2 scores. He had 24 points last
I
week.
spent 2 segments calling him out on it. It was just ridiculous. Oh, he hasn't been really good this week. Or the last couple weeks. I'm like, Leo, he's had 1 single-digit output all year. He had 8 points one week. Otherwise, he's put up 10 or 11, at minimum 10 or 11 every single week.
These guys are talking to the Yahoo League listeners.
No, they weren't. These guys play in deep leagues, too. I couldn't believe – it just drove me nuts. Let's get into some emails here.
I love it.
By the way, Aunt Jemima says the Niners are going to get Sammy Watkins next year. Jim in Thomasville, North Carolina.
He gets around quite a bit.
He does. Hey, guys, I've been riding the Robbie Anderson wave all the way to my league semis, but now I'm not sure if I should play him with Bryce Petty under center. My other options are Manny Sanders at Indy, Sanu in Tampa, or Robert Woods going to Seattle. WWHSFFHD. Thanks.
Right, so
that's Jim in Thomasville, North Carolina.
Manny Sanders.
Don't play Emmanuel Sanders. So it comes down. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So it comes down to. I don't know why that irritates you so much. It comes down to Robbie. Whatever. Robbie Anderson is. I'm going to do it on purpose because I know it really grinds your gears. Robbie Anderson is at New Orleans. Mohamed Sanu is at Tampa. Robert Woods is at Seattle.
I would. I'd have to look at when Sanu plays. But if I have any of those.
Oh, I can tell you that.
If either of those guys play after Sanu, because I know Sanu's questionable, but I would try and start Sanu. Actually, is who I prefer.
Sanu plays Monday night.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right, so I would wait to see what the practice thing looks like tomorrow for Sanu, and if he practices. If I hear optimistic news, I would still look towards Sanu. I think he's going to be good, and I think he's actually going to play.
Okay, I am still leaning towards Woods. For the sake of argument, let's say Sanu does not practice tomorrow. Then who does it come down? Obviously, you're not playing Sanu. Then it's either Woods or Robbie Anderson. Which one do you like better?
I would look at the better quarterback, and I'd look at Woods.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Hey, David Balky, this isn't a blind resume, but a fun game nonetheless. Name the top 3 players with the most touches over the last 4 weeks. You get 6 guesses.
Say it again.
The top 3 players with the most touches over the last 4 weeks. 6 guesses, Dave, and go.
So is this any position?
Any position. Most touches. Obviously not quarterback because he touches the ball every snap.
Top 3 players.
Yep.
With the what?
Most touches over the last 4 weeks. If you look in the chat room, you're going to get a free square.
I'm not looking. Okay. Hang on.
All right. And I'll tell you, he is not looking, but Aunt Jemima got number 1 on the list.
All right. Guess.
And Aunt Jemima, Todd Gurley is incorrect. He is not in there.
Okay.
I'll list off.
Why don't list off players?
I'll list off the incorrect ones.
Give me a break here. All right. So let me think. Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams is number 3.
Is he on
so
it?
good guess. He is number 3 on the list.
Right,
Cool.
that's
the one I didn't think you were going to get.
All right, that's cool. That's good. I feel kind of good about that.
Number 1 and number 2 I think are easier.
Let's see for a second. Okay, so.
And I'll tell you this: number one, the 3 was the shocker. Jamal Williams, the shocker.
Antonio Brown?
No, he is not on the list.
Brown. That's got to be a running back. That was a stupid guess. Okay.
You have 4 guesses left. Use them wisely.
Thank you. I'm just trying to think of like high volume running backs.
Yep.
Le'Veon Bell?
He is number 1, and that's the one that Aunt Jemima got. You were missing number 2. We talked about him earlier in the show. I believe we talked about him earlier in the show. And I will say this, you are right. It is a running back. All 3 of these guys are running backs.
All right. So I got Le'Veon Bell, Jamal Williams.
And I'll be honest with you, when this guy's played, it's no surprise that he touches the ball a ton.
No, I get it. This guy's played.
He may have only missed 1 game this year, now that I think about it. Maybe 2. No, he missed 2. He missed 2.
God, I don't know why I'm struggling. Okay, so give me a second. Who are all the other top running backs?
He plays in the same conference as Le'Veon Bell, but not the same division.
That doesn't help me that much because I'm not really that astute at figuring all this stuff out as much as I should be.
I can't really tell you the division because then you're going to pin it. I mean, it's kind of a giveaway if I tell you the division.
No, I know.
Because he is – I only think about this for a second. Who's in his division? He is by far and away the best running back in his division. And he's got to be.
Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, for fantasy purposes, he is bar none the best running back in his division.
I don't know. Sean McCoy?
No, he's in the same conference as Bell. AFC. McCoy. McCoy, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm an idiot. He is not in that division. Aunt Jemima guessed Kenyon Drake. That's a good guess. It's incorrect.
Give me a second. It can't be Lynch.
It is not Lynch, and it is not that division. It is not that division. It is not Pittsburgh's division.
I understand. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know this is actually taking too long, but how many guesses do I have left?
4.
All right, Alex Collins.
No.
All right, I didn't think it was him.
Wrong division.
Kareem Hunt.
Wrong division.
I don't know about the divisions, dummy. I give up. Who is it?
All right.
We don't have so much time left.
AFC South, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Houston, and Tennessee.
Gore?
Nope. Wrong team. You have 1 guess left.
So you have stupid Lamar Miller, who I hate.
It is not Lamar Miller.
And then Fournette.
Fournette. There you go. Good job. So it's Bell, Fournette, and Williams.
That was a really good job.
So the second, yep, Wasp guy just got it. So the second part of this question, tell me if I should even be starting number 2 or number 3 this weekend. That's Lenny in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You're not starting 2. I don't see I can play Fournette at this point.
No, you're not.
And Jamal Williams, I think I'm still rolling him out there.
Yeah, I would try and play Jamal Williams as much as possible. I mean, it's just now with Rodgers, it's a solid offense, even if he's not the centerpiece as much.
We have our next email is from Andy. You know him as Freaks of the Industry from the Blake Harrington Dynasty League.
Yes, this is the player, by the way, that I had a week 14 bye. He actually checked out the rules so he could avoid playing my super team, and he was correct, and he's not playing me this week.
Yeah, he's not.
I hope I meet him in the finals and crush his dreams and hopes and everything.
Neil before Zod, who is the 2 seed to your 1 seed, he actually texted me. He's like, "What the hell happened?" And I told him, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's too bad," because I guess Fred, former co-host of the show, Monroeville Zombies, said I guess he's played 3 Colts against you last night.
Yeah, he scored. I think he scored just under 40 points, including his quarterback. So I
he had Brissett, and I don't know who the other 2 were. Hilton, maybe.
T.Y. Hilton and some
Gore. I don't know.
No, it was like some other crappy-ish position.
Moncrief.
No,
Jack Doyle.
It was more like a
Vinatieri,
like a kicker or something.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, let's get to Freak's email here. This is standard non-PPR. Okay,
right.
He needs 3 receivers. He wants to know if he plays Marquise Goodwin over any of these guys: Mike Evans, AJ Green, or Tyreek Hill.
I would actually consider him over Evans.
That's what I said. I said that's the only guy I would consider him over, and I'm still playing Evans over Hill. Over Goodwin.
I'm going to play Goodwin over Evans. Evans has been so freaking terrible. I'm benching him.
Okay. We got into a big Twitter conversation last night. Me and Evan Silva, Dave.
You are just floating way up there, buddy.
We did. It was actually Chris Birchby, who's a former co-host of the show. he put out a Twitter poll and he mentioned Evan Silva, David Hubbard, the FFPC, and myself. I don't know. I don't know how I made it in there. I had no business being in there. But then Evan said who he voted for. Well, I'll tell you this. This is the long and short of it. Chris needs to sit one of these guys, okay?
Okay.
You tell me who you'd sit. Rex Burkhead at Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Jordy Nelson at Carolina.
Okay.
Alex Collins at Baltimore. Or, excuse me, at Cleveland.
Yep.
Jamal Williams at Carolina.
I'm sitting Jordy.
Okay, I said that now I can't remember what I said. I think I said sit Collins. That's who I would. I think it's going to be This is my rationale. I think it's going to be a shootout between Carolina and GB, so I can't really bench Nelson or Williams when I believe that. And the other one was Burkhead, same idea. I think that they're going to go up and down the field in that game, New England, Pittsburgh. The total on the Cleveland-Baltimore game is like 39, and I foresee messiness there and these fluky Baltimore tight end touchdowns. So Collins is the one I was most worried about. I'm playing the upside with the other three, which is why I went that. Evan Silva sat Jamal Williams in this case.
Yeah, I mean, Jordy hasn't done anything since Rodgers has been gone. And
but
now
Rodgers
that Rodgers is back.
Yeah.
Who even knows? Maybe it's Jordy's talent is falling off.
It could be.
And Baltimore's probably a massive favorite in that game. So in the third and fourth quarter, they're going to be giving it to Alex Collins. They're going to be running the ball. Why not start three running backs, get the solid floor, and you still have the ceiling?
Okay, so there you go. There's Dave's answer. And then,
of course, my answer was the correct one.
Okay, well, we'll see about that. Well, hold on. Let's make it interesting.
All right, I got 5 on it.
So, okay, hold on. Is this purely Collins versus Nelson, or how do you want to structure this?
Sure, I don't care.
Collins versus Nelson, more fantasy points in Week 15.
That's fine, but keeping in mind that my real decision isn't necessarily reaching for the ceiling, I'm also keeping in mind the floor, but that's fine. I'll still do the best.
You'll still do it. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I have Jordy Nelson. I got 5 on it.
I got 5 on.
I got 5 on it. Nothing.
I got 5 on Phil Collins. Studio, baby.
And then part of that same Twitter conversation, we'll see if we can help him out here. At Jordan Woodson on Twitter, Alex Collins at Cleveland, or Mike Evans versus the Atlanta Falcons. Really, Collins?
Evans is terrible.
All right, do you want to do 5 on that one, too?
Sure.
All right, I got 5 on Mike Evans.
I got 5 on it.
Week 15 will forever be known as
Mike Evans.
the Week of Evans. All right, so that's going to do it for our show. Hopefully you stuck around for a little bonus time here and enjoyed the 2 wagers that we made. Hopefully you really enjoyed the show as a whole here. I want to thank Chris Jeantet, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob, Bryce, and, of course, you.
By the way, Mike Evans has not totaled 10 points total in the last 2 weeks.
This is not a show.
Enjoy your bet with
Listen,
Mike Evans.
We can go back and look at what Mike Evans did in his career if we're just looking at the past. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. But I'm looking towards the future, Dave. This is a prognostication show.
You're such a positive fella.
Me all about Mike Evans this week. So what we didn't mention is Chris Jeantet was on the show this week. You know who's second place in the Football Guys Players Championship right behind him, 8 points behind him? Our good friend, the House of Cards, the notorious BIP, Biplab Mandel, is going to be on the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown next week. So we will talk with him there. Well, you won't, but I will. And Nelson Sousa as well. So that will be very, very interesting. Now, this is important, the important part of the show.
I think the show cut off anyway, so don't
No, it's still going. No show next Friday. There will not be a show next Friday. It is my wife and my 5th anniversary, the anniversary that apparently we're celebrating for 18 months out of the year. And so we're going to do the show next week, not during Thursday Night Football. Wednesday we will be doing the show. Next Wednesday.
So there is a show.
There is a show. It's just not next Friday. There will be no show on Friday. It will be a Wednesday show next week. Okay?
I didn't introduce that very well.
Well, I want to tease people like, oh, my God, I can't believe there's not going to be a show. Oh, thank God there's going to be a show on Wednesday. That's the way I frame it. That's how we get the enthusiasm going upward to end the show.
Right.
So
people are barely listening, so just
whatever.
Get it right the first time.
10/9 Central next Wednesday. We will have a guest for you then. And if it makes you feel better, go ahead. Blowing a lot of whistles this weekend, Dave. Those officials in that Tampa-Atlanta game on Monday night blowing whistles after all those Evans touchdowns. Cannot wait.
I highly doubt it.
Oh, it's going to be so sweet. Collins will probably put up a 0, and all Evans will have to do is catch one pass on Monday night. Best Monday night game ever.
Good luck.
Right now, save 50 to 70% off at Banana Republic factory stores and online. And 60% off absolutely everything at Gap factory stores. Save even more with 40% off clearance at Gap factory stores. And at Banana Republic factory, all flannel shirts $19.99 and doorbuster scarves $9.99. This weekend only. Search our store locator for your nearest Gap factory and Banana Republic factory store or shop us online. Right now, save 50 to 70% off at Banana Republic factory stores and online. And 60% off absolutely everything at Gap factory stores. Save even more with 40% off clearance at Gap factory stores. And at Banana Republic factory, sweaters start at $19.99 and scarves start at $9.99. Hurry! Search our store locator for your nearest Gap factory and Banana Republic factory store or shop us online.